We will be connecting live on YouTube with the motorcycle, gear and equipment issue. The contenders are Sinje Gottwald, Kinga from OnHerBike, Egle from Adventurism, Nora from Adventurism, and myself, Lea from Got2Go. Let the fight begin.
When it comes down to it, what is the best bike to take around the world?
What is the best equipment for the bike?
What is the best camping gear? Or maybe we don't need that much gear at all.
What is the best gear to ride in?
What are the best tools and spare parts?
Join us live to be part of the big motorcycle equipment and gear chat and ask us all the questions you ever wanted to ask about making a motorcycle ready for adventure.
Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to our big motorcycle gear and equipment issue. With me are 4 fantastic female adventure riders. You probably know all of them, and we will be discussing everything that has to do with traveling and motorcycles today. So feel free to ask all your questions in the comments, we will answer them. And now hello to Sinje from Germany.
Hi.
Hello to Kinga, who is in Poland, I think, at the moment.
Hello.
Hello to Egle, who is, I think, still in Lithuania, right?
I am in Poland already, but hi everyone.
Sorry. And
Poland is the place to be.
Exactly. And hello to Nora from the Netherlands.
Hello.
And I thought we'd just dive into this topic because we have so many things to cover. And I thought the first thing we maybe should talk about is our motorcycles. The special thing about all of us is, I think, and very interesting, we have been all riding around the world, but all of us are riding on completely different motorcycles in completely different gears with completely different setups. So I thought we just start with the bikes that we're on and why we think the bikes are great or maybe not so great. And maybe Sinje can start because Sinje is on the oldest motorcycle of all of us. So Sinje, why do you love your bike? And is it better to travel on an old motorcycle because it's easier to repair, or maybe does it easier break down?
So first, that I'm riding on this really old BMW. It's a R100 GS PD, a Paris car, a 94 model, so it's 26 years old now. Yeah, well, I mean, I love my bike, obviously. I mean, I would never sell it. So many people suggested to sell it, but I would never sell it. Absolutely love it. And she's called Amidala. So the reason why I chose this bike is because, well, it is easier to repair. It's a mechanical bike, not so much electronic. So if in case something happens, I thought, being somewhere in Pakistan or some country where there's no big bikes, I thought repairing a motorcycle that is a bit older would be easier. And yes, it was easier. It definitely was always possible to find someone, even if it wasn't a mechanic for BMWs, someone always knew how to fix that bike. But as I just said already, at the same time, of course, it also broke down a bit more often, I would say, than a new bike. But I would also have to say that the day I left, the bike that I have already had 120,000 kilometers on it.
Wow.
Has over 200,000 kilometers on it. And also when I left, I wasn't the best mechanic. I'm still not a mechanic, but the first oil change I did on that bike was in Kyrgyzstan. That was after 16,000 kilometers. So yeah, I could have taken, a bit more care of the bike from the beginning, but yeah, I love it.
And it still carries you, right?
It still carries. It's still in my car. It's waiting there for me. So, yeah.
So that's fantastic. So Nora, what about your bike?
Yeah, that's a great story as well. So I ride a Suzuki V-Strom at the moment. I've always ridden a 650cc version. Now I'm on the 2018 version, but before I was riding a 2005 version. And like the short story of why I chose this bike was because I knew nothing about bikes. I just got my license and I was like, I need a bike for going to work. So I went to the dealership with my dad and tried out 3 different bikes. And this was the most comfy and I thought it was the prettiest. So I thought I'm just going to buy this one. And then I ended up traveling the world with it. And for me, it ended up being a great bike because it's such a reliable brand. Also almost never broke down. But yeah, it's not the standard BMW ADV bike that you would see, but it did the job for me. So I'm still really happy.
You're very tall. Don't you have issues with your height and the size of the bike? Because it's as well not the tallest bike, right?
No, it's definitely not the tallest bike. But compared to a cruiser, it is still relatively high. But compared to a Husky or something, yeah, it's super low. But for me, because I was also such a novice when it comes to off-road riding, it had the great benefit as well that I could just take my bike everywhere off-road. And as soon as I felt unbalanced, I could put both of my feet on the floor so I wouldn't fall over. I think
Nora,
it saved me from a lot of crashes.
You would put your both feet on the ground on any bike. The tallest one are there. You would just put them on there. That's not an issue for you, I think, on any bike.
Okay, but for the average rider, the average height, I mean, and I am Dutch, so even in the Netherlands, I'm already really tall. But yeah, for me, that was a bonus.
About not the height of the bike, but the clearance. I know you like riding off-road and you're thinking of doing rallies maybe. So I'm curious, like, do you find that the pretty low clearance of the bike is an issue or not at all?
You have to remember what type of riding I do or what general long distance or overlanders do, in my opinion. And it's not, you don't race because this vehicle needs to last for another 2 years. So you are not, and you don't know the terrain. So especially in places like Africa or Asia, around the corner, there could be a sheep. There could be a person on your trail. There could be anything on the road. So you're not going that fast. So you don't need that much travel space as you would if you are riding your own trails and twisting that throttle to the max. So for me, it never has been a problem at all. I'm not gonna race with it, I think. But we'll see. I'm gonna give it a go. I think people are surprised by its capabilities.
And there's someone else who races as well. Her motorcycle, and that's Egle. So, and you're kind of like riding on this bike since forever too, right? So, why do you love it? How does it perform in traveling? And is it possible to go on rallies with just an adventure bike that you normally use for traveling?
I'm trying to kind of do both adventure riding and rally racing, and I suck at both, so it kind of balances out, so it's all good in that department. But I think the DR it's like, I always like to compare motorcycles to horses. So a DR would be like a fat, furry, ugly pony. So it's not particularly elegant or fast or good at any one particular thing, but it does everything and it just keeps on plodding along. It's like indestructible, which works great for me because like Sinje, I'm not exactly very mechanically minded. So, fixing everything is still kind of, I know how to diagnose most things, but I don't necessarily know how to like clean my own carbs. So I'll go to a mechanic and go like, hey dude, can you help me clean the carbs? Stuff like that. But I love the simplicity of the bike. I love that any mechanic anywhere around the world will know what to do. It's not super high tech or anything. So even if you're somewhere remote, like some, I don't know, local Bolivian village mechanic will look at my bike and go like, yeah, okay, I can work on this. As opposed to if you show up on a brand new bike stuff with electronics and stuff, and some of these mechanics will just go like, whoa, what is this spacecraft, But then at the same time, of course, even in remote areas, you're not ever that far from a bigger town or city, so I'm not sure that's an issue nowadays. But yeah, for me, the DR works because it's so simple, so basic, so indestructible. It's been going, I don't even know how many miles I have on it now, because the odometer thing broke in Colombia 2 years back, so I have no idea like what the mileage is at this point. But it just keeps on going.
On what mileage does it stand now?
I think right now it's like 70,000 miles or something like that. That was 2 years ago.
70,000 forever.
Yeah, but at the same time, when it comes to racing, obviously I'm doing that at a very amateur level. I'm doing these cross-country rallies where it's not necessarily just about speed. You've also got a bunch of other components like navigation, you've got your road book, you've got endurance, you've got all kinds of like off-road elements and stuff like that. So it's not just about speed. And of course, yes, this is not a rally bike. It's overweight and underpowered for a rally. But for me, it's been working pretty great because I can trust it. So I can't afford rally support, for example, so I have to maintain it myself. And because it's so indestructible, it works great. If it was like a highly strung KTM racing bike where I have to do oil changes every 5 minutes and really keep an eye on everything, I'd be really, really screwed right now. But with a DR, again, it just keeps on plodding along. Eventually, I will switch to something else when it comes to racing. But for the traveling parts, I couldn't want for a better bike.
What would you switch to if you would choose a bike for racing, like a dream bike?
I'd probably go for something small, like a KTM 350, probably. Definitely not more than 450, but something small, something agile, something that you can pick up 10 times a day if you have to and you're not feeling it, something that can get over all kinds of terrain with not too much trouble, something manageable, because these big bikes, they're hard work, especially when you have like rocky terrain, like in Greece, it's all rocks. And you're feeling it, and on a smaller bike, lighter bike, it's just much easier. You're just making life easier for yourself. That's it.
That sounds very good, like a good bike. So Kinga, you are riding on Chile?
Yeah.
Chile, 850.
She's cheating at the moment.
Yeah, she will be cheating. No, she's cheating right now. She bought another bike.
But Shady Bill, it's just like, it's my secret bike just to be here while Chile's not here. So she doesn't know anything. It's okay. Just zip it, okay? And really, there's no competition between them because he's like her little brother. It's just, pocket rocket.
So tell us how you and Chile found each other.
Look, I've been riding bikes since I was 16. So sports bikes, road bikes, and really, I had no idea about off-road. So when I decided to go around Australia, before that, I went to a few rallies, sort of like motorcycle gatherings, and there were a lot of ADV riders from the forum, and they were all on GSs. And I thought, oh, this is a good bike. Seriously, it was random. Like I knew nothing about, riding on unpaved roads. I mean, off-road. On-paved roads are okay. On off-road, and off-road in Australia is quite challenging. It's not European off-road, right? So pretty much it was random. It's like, oh, this bike looks good. Everyone rides BMW. 800 is good. It's tall. Got long legs. So I thought, okay, that was just like, okay, I just went there and I'll go with that one. I just didn't I love the look of it, and I still love the look of it. And there's no really bike out there that I would love the look so much. And I think look is very important, Do you look like at your bike? It's like, that's a good looking bike. Do you have that when you look at your bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's your bike. It doesn't have to be high performance. It doesn't have to have electronics. And I absolutely strongly agree with you girls, especially with the Egle. My 800 is from 2015. So it's got few modes that doesn't work. Traction control doesn't work. ABS doesn't work. Nothing works. Like it comes to electronics, but it's still very simple design. So it's fixable, right? New BMW bikes are very packed with all the electronics, and I would be scared to ride this through Africa or through remote countries when there's no mechanics and you can't plug it in and fix it because no one's got software for it. So yes, there is, sure, they're comfortable. Sure, they like easy to ride. Sure, it's beautiful technology. But for what we do, I think simpler is better. Less problems later. Less
So
comfort, but it's. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go older than this because my Chile is 2015. You know, I've got nearly 100,000 on it. So, and I know she will go for another 200. Her engine is in excellent condition, and I don't. There's no other bike out there that I like, so I'll stick to Chile.
So you would suggest not always maybe to buy the newest bike, but maybe as well to just look into the older models that are better fixable, or what would you do if you now would buy a bike?
There's no bike for me. I don't know what I would do. Like, there's no, like before I wanted 800. It's like, that's the bike I want. Now I see all these bikes and there's no bike I want. So I'll stick to Chile until she's okay.
I had a question from a follower who asked about the 800 GS and about the under seat tank that puts the weight distribution to the back. Is that an issue?
No, for me it's not. I've got Camel tank. It's 7-liter auxiliary tank. There's on the other side that my exhaust pipe. I don't even if it's full. Because you're so central. I personally don't feel unbalanced at all. So I love this tank. I crashed my first GS. And this tank survived the head-on collision with the car. I put it on my second GS, and I've been with this tank for 5 years, and I can't even think of riding my bike without Camel tank. So it gives me a range of nearly 500 kilometers. So that's really important when you do overland trip.
You can also just get a V-Strom, and then you also have 500 kilometers.
Yeah, right.
Do you think you really need that? Because I had the feeling I never needed such a wide range. I had I think 3 times on all the world journeys so that I did where I really needed to carry a lot of spare gas or spare canisters. But otherwise it would have been just more for the comfort than for really needing it.
How much could you do on your Tiger?
I think on the Tiger it was 350. Okay. On the Tenere now it's I think 352 or something like that, depending on how you go, of course. But it's much less. But still, I had always the feeling within a reach of 300 kilometers, it's mostly easy to find a gas station or someone who carries gas in their barn or something. How much is the range?
Wait till you get to Sudan, because sometimes you would have to be a few days waiting for the fuel if you don't have that range, around 500. That actually becomes very handy.
They told us that for West Africa too, and so we were always very loaded with all the spare canisters. And in the end, it was actually not a problem because we were so looking for gas because we knew if we don't find it, we're kind of fucked. So we tried to get it, and it turned out that much more. Small shops that are just on the road, they have it in some canisters, but they still have some illegally that they sell. So I don't know. I find that I really nearly always found some gas somewhere.
Yeah, not much. And 99.9% you're gonna have it. But I think it's just peace of mind that you can do actually more. And you can, if there's no petrol station, Australia, good example. I think the longest stretches, it's the most remote country in the world. And the longest stretches were over 300 kilometers in Northern Territory. And that's only if you stick to the main roads. But sometimes that petrol station has got no power or the stuff is broken. So another one, it's another over 300 kilometers. So then you just have to camp and just wait for the fuel or the power goes on. So that's, this is going to happen to you maybe once or twice in your life, really, realistically, because you've been on the road for so long and we never had problems. But it can happen. And I think it's a good peace of mind that you don't have to fill up every petrol station or you can actually go nearly 500 kilometers. I don't know. For me, it's great. Yeah.
And you don't carry so many spare canisters, do you? Or do you carry some spares?
I have only 1 liter that gives me 500 in total. And then I've got, the 700 for the fuel stove for the cooking. So I've got literally 1.5 liters with me all the time.
Okay. Yeah, because I can carry I think 9 liters or 10 liters of my spare canisters, but I keep them empty most of the time. So
because it's a weight, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What about you guys? Have you also big tanks?
I have a ridiculously huge tank. It's 30 liters. It can last almost 600 kilometers, and I never ever needed that range. I mean, sure, I mostly stuck to North America, Central and South America, and then Europe. So, you know, I've not done Africa yet, or Central Asia sounds like a place where fuel might be scarce, but up till now, I never actually needed that range. And in fact, I had like an opposite effect because I'm so confident that I always have enough gas that I actually forget to put gas in, and then I run out. So it's been pretty counterproductive. I think I'm gonna switch to a smaller tank because it's not. I don't mind the weight as much, but it's just cumbersome. It's kind of huge, and especially with off-road riding, when you need to put your body and your weight forward, it's kind of in the way. It's yeah, 30 liters is way too much. Unless it's like with Kinga, you know, you have one tank in the front and then the other one at the back.
Yeah, and there's always a choice not filling it up, so that's good. I just fill up, you know, if I'm going off-road and I know there will be petrol station in 250 kilometers, whatever, I don't even fill up camel tank. But if I go on long distance, just fill it up and you don't think twice. But anyway, Leah, you haven't talked about your bike.
My bikes, actually, because I just read here that some people were writing about if F650 GS. That was actually my first bike that I had, and I sold that before I went to the trip around the world because it was had some problems with the electronic, and it was a bit too small for me. I always got like a lot of back pain from riding it. So then I changed to the Triumph Tiger. And I did, I think, nearly 100,000 kilometers on it. And I loved the bike. And it was a new bike when I started. And I still love it because it has like these 3 cylinders, which are super smooth. And I think it's just a very nice bike to ride on. I think it's very comparable actually to the 800 GS because they are kind of like similar weight and similar to what they can do. And it will bring you everywhere, but I also think it's kind of heavy. So if it's loaded, it can be a pain in the ass if you fall and if you have to put it back up. I couldn't do it with luggage. I always had to unload it. What about you, Kinga? Can you do it with the luggage or do you have to?
It depends how it falls. Sometimes I can, if it's like a little bit, you know, like uphill and it's not like facing down, I can. There were times where I didn't have to unload anything. Bang, and she's back. Sometimes I have to take the main bag off, and sometimes I have to take everything off, you know, like leave only the panniers that it's laying on. So it really depends how you land and on the angle of the bike. Yeah, it depends.
And then I changed now for Africa because I was like, I'm as mechanically ungifted as most of us here in this chat. And I thought, I don't know if this bike now lasts for another long trip, because the problem was that I had it in my garage for nearly like 1.5 years or a year from when I came back until I started to ride again. And I think if you leave your bike somewhere and you don't use it so much, that's the point when things get really bad and when things kind of like use up. And so every time then I drove her, there was like something, like the ceilings were broken. And basically every time I had to repair something, which before I really didn't have to. So I decided to get a smaller bike for Africa because I thought maybe for the roads there, that's even better. And I got the Yamaha Tenere 700. And I'm super, super happy with that bike because I really feel the difference in the weight, especially when it comes to sand and stuff that I don't feel so comfortable on, because I really feel like it just feels much more like I ride the bike and not the bike rides me. So it's I just feel like I'm much more in control of this bike than of the other bike, which is for me great. So I thought now that we talked about the bikes, can each of you say like one thing that is a problem with their bikes? Because, for example, I burned the clutch of the Triumph Tiger once, and then I got to know that this is an issue that actually happens to this clutch quite often, quite frequently. So since then, I always carry clutch spare parts. And with the Tenere, for example, fantastic bike, that's what they told me. And then, I mean, you as well have to ride it wrong, but it's more likely to burn than in other bikes. And with the Tenere, my seat is kind of, because it's so tiny, it's really more like, it has much more like a rally feeling. It has much more feeling.
It's not a long distance bike.
The seat can really hurt, so I put a sheepskin on it. So that was like the contrast of my both bikes. Do you have something like that on your bikes?
A GS, terrible suspension, original suspension. So I blown the shock in Tajikistan, so that I had to put an upgrade on, and front wheels, rims. so soft. You know, you're supposed to go off-road with this bike, but you can't. If you don't change these two things, forget about it. And I learned the hard way. So rims and suspension, there are two things that you need to change before you go for any trip. In terms of 800 Gs.
With the DR, it was the same. I have different wheels, Warp 9 wheels instead of stock. Stock suspension is beyond horrible. I don't remember YSS or Cogent or something like that. Now I switched to TFX suspension, and it's been nothing short of absolutely amazing, especially because it's adjustable. So that's a really great thing. The seat is horrible, so I have a custom seat. The stock tank is tiny. Of course, I went overboard with this 30-liter monster, but still. But in terms of problems, I don't think I've encountered any specific problems. I have burned a clutch a couple of times, but that was purely my fault. It was just shitty riding, nothing else. I just got stuck, and because of inexperience, I just kind of kept trying to get out completely the wrong way. So that's kind of on me. But it doesn't really have any specific like weak points or problems, I don't think. The biggest issue with the DR for me is that it's so underpowered for what it weighs. Like, I need either less weight on this bike or more power, because as it is right now, it's great for traveling, but not that great for everything else that I want to do. But if you're just gonna do some adventure riding on it and traveling, then it's kind of perfect. I don't think it's got any specific like super weak problems or issues or anything like that.
Maybe that is basically impossible to get in Europe.
Yeah. Okay. We found one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nora, the downs of the V-Strom.
I have to say we didn't break anything that was not related to falling over or anything from outside, but I do feel like somehow the V-Strom has a tendency to lose screws.
Yeah.
So the screws just yes, the screws just vibrate loose. Like, yes.
Like engine screws?
Luckily not those, but
I lost my front brake in Argentina, so I know something about screws.
Well, hey, but we know why this is more than your fault. It was the mechanics who put it wrongly together.
Yeah, no, but that's the only thing that really happened. And then on the second trip, we just brought a spare fuel filter. Yeah. But it didn't necessarily break. We just thought it was nice to replace at one point. But no, there's, like I said, the Suzuki is such a reliable bike that you don't really need to worry about it.
Anything except for the screws. Girls, I think we halfway. We still have lots to cover. Let's move on.
Yeah.
What's next?
So, Sinje first has to say a contra of her bike.
Okay, Sinje, of course. But where to start? Hold on, how much time we've got? sorry.
But if I could, there's one thing that was actually a big challenge for myself on this trip with this bike was the weight. It's just too heavy. I can't pick it up by myself. I can pick it up several times. I can even pick it up in sand, but still, I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable, especially being alone on off-road, if that bike was a little less heavy.
Yeah.
So I got already the question here. We're going to move on now to the equipment of the bike, and tires are a part of that. And I know the tire discussion can be endless. So
let's not cover the tires. No, this is way too dangerous.
We're just going to do it like this. I will ask each of you which tire you are choosing if you know that you can change within 5,000 kilometers, and which tires you're choosing if you know that you have to cover more than 5,000 kilometers. And that's period it. So we start with that. Sinje.
So I cannot even give you an answer to this because I only had one set of tires, like always the same ones. Always had the same ones. I was always
for 3 years.
Serious. I changed it, but I always had the same brand.
Which one?
The Heidenau Scout.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Of course. Okay. I bet you were on one set for 3 years, hey?
So Kinga.
No, okay. Don't get me started. Look, I prefer soft compound tires. So of course they're not going to last as much as hard compound tires, as Heidenau or Mitas or whatever. But I choose, and there's lots of brands out there. Of course, I'm sponsored by Bridgestone now, and I truly love these tires. I think they're great. But there are other brands out there who have got self-compound tires, and they will only last you anywhere between 2,000 and 10,000, depending on the terrain, depending how hard you ride, depending if you load it, unload it, whatever, right? I always choose self-compound tires because they're safe. They've got awesome grip on off-road. And, I crashed on Heidenau, so I had bad experience. I broke my hand for no reason on wet pavement. And for me, I don't care about distance. I want to be safe. So hard compound tires, no. Soft compound tires, yes, because you're safe on wet road and you got awesome grip everywhere in every environment. So yes, it's more expensive. And I'm not just saying that because now I'm sponsored, because I'm only sponsored for not like such a long time. But before that, through whole my round the world trip, I always choose soft compound tires, which last up to max 10,000 if you're lucky. Normally 8, sometimes less.
And so you send the tires normally?
Pardon? Yes, I would order before. I would order them online, and Poland's got very cheap tires. So anyone who wants to, really, that's what I was doing before. I would just ordering tire online. They would be like half price than Aussie tires, right? So, and I would like ship them to Mongolia, Kazakhstan, whatever I had to send them. I would just order them, and then I had them shipped. Now I'm, a partner with Bridgestone, so they're shipping it for me, which is great support. It's like my dream come true, partner, and the tires are awesome. But this is what I do. I ship tires and I change them really because I have to think, that's how many kilometers it's going to last me. So I estimate, I have the tires shipped, and sometimes I change them. They're not even worn, especially the front one. It's never worn. You can still go on front one. You can still go for another probably 10,000 on it, but it doesn't matter. The back needs to change, and I change always both. And look, 3 years on the road, only one puncture. So I think it works. If you change them, you don't wear them until the end, more likely you will avoid the punctures. So this is my theory. Yeah.
So Egle?
If it's up to 5,000, I would go with Pirelli Rallycross because it's a pretty good 60/40 tire. That's kind of good on both. And then if it's 10,000 or more, I really, really loved Moto Z. I had them in North America and in South America, and they last ever. And they're
Is it a Tractionator?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one.
Ever is how long?
I don't even remember, like 12,000 easily, and then some. I mean, it's good grip off road, and it's still decent on the road. I really love them. And then if I had to go for a rally setting, I was pretty happy with Golden. But now, because I've been told that Mitas does a pretty good off-road tire that's really grippy, so I'd probably go for that if it's a rally setting. But for traveling, Moto Z is pretty great. And like you, Kinga, my last puncture was like 3 years ago in Kansas, something like that. Mm-hmm. So that really worked for me. So Moto Z for super long distance, Pirelli Rallycross for shorter distance, and then probably Golden Tire Mitas to race.
Nora?
I'm also not such a tire nerd, to be honest. So I'm just gonna say that the last set of tires that we put on were the Mitas E07 Plus, which I actually really liked for off-roading as well, because we did the Lake Turkana route with it in Kenya, which is a pretty hardcore off-road section. And I felt really comfortable riding on them through any type of conditions. So it was really rocky at sections, but it was also really sandy at sections, and it like behaved amazing. And even on the road, it was still really nice to ride. So really happy with those tires.
I actually really like the TKC 80 from Continental, if it's like for not too long, but that lasts for me like 5,000, I think, or so. I heard people who get them much longer, actually. I don't know how they do it, but it
really depends on terrain. Same tire, you go on volcanic rocks and you will use it after 2,000, and you're going on paved road, and depending on your weight and everything, you cannot estimate with that soft compact tires. Yeah.
And actually for long distance, I have not found something that I'm completely happy with. So I did it like you, Kinga, all the time, but now in Africa, I really reconsidered it because I sent the tires there and they got lost. And So that's not very nice if you're somewhere and you're waiting for your tires, and then we had to find like shitty tires that had the wrong size for our rims. And that's like the worst case scenario that you actually can have. So I was looking into tires, and I really want to try the Motoset. How do you call them?
Yeah, the one, try those.
I really want to try them, but they are not so easy to find in Europe actually, because I think they're Australian, right?
Yeah. And I don't think they do it for the big bikes. I think they're only for lighter bikes.
No, they have them. I googled that. They have them, but
but your one is light. I'm talking about like the big GSs. I don't think they do it. I think so. I don't think so.
Yeah. So then we covered as well the tire issue pretty quick, and maybe we can talk about equipping our bikes next. So I think another issue that everybody fights about is soft versus hard panniers. What are you doing, and what do you think is the best? I can throw something in the room because I think everybody of us knows that soft panniers are better for your health in the end. Because if you crash with a hard pannier, it's not so nice to have it on your foot. And that's basically all I have to add to this conversation, because I'm like, I still have hard panniers because I'm so lazy and they are kind of convenient. And it's just, I know that the other ones are better, but lazy.
I mean, we have to it's so personal, because there's no perfect solution. Like with the tires, like with the bike, like with your everything, like with your jacket and pants, with everything. It's always, you have to have compromises. So hard panniers, aluminum panniers, great. You're opening, you lock it, you go, you put the stickers, they look so flash and nice, great, right? You can make, like, you can take them off, and if that's your like picnic table, awesome. And I've been reading with like since 2013 until literally beginning of this year. I was always fan of aluminum panniers, but the problem is there were many times that I nearly broke my leg because of them. Because sometimes you get challenging off-road, you put your leg down, and then you nearly, the force of the pannier nearly cracks your leg. So that if you do off-road, it's freaking dangerous, and they're heavy. So that's the disadvantage. With the soft ones or semi-rigid ones, they're lighter, but of course maybe in a who's typing?
Me,
Leia.
Oh my god! You don't know why
it's really loud.
I just had to tell them that Sinje is on Instagram.
It's good.
Now you confused me with my typing.
Okay, stop. Just let us know. We're going to type for you. With the soft one, of course, everything is maybe not so organized, and then sometimes you get solutions where you can lock it or whatever that is. Maybe they have less volume, or you can't really put your drones there, and to be, of course, the hard ones give you the protection. Now I'm with Lone Rider, which I love because they like panniers, but they're semi-rigid, so they're safe, but they're still rigid. So everyone needs to find their own way. And the look, you have to like the look of it as well, right? That's important. It's like same with our bikes. You love your bikes. You have to like the look of it. You put them on, it's like, that's a neat looking bike. So that's really important. So everyone needs to choose what is your really main priority, right? But safety, definitely. The softer it is, the safer it is. I agree. That's all I have to say.
And you ride with half soft now, right? With the
it's called semi-rigid. Yeah,
exactly.
So if you crash, they give away. But aluminum panniers will just break your leg, right?
Yeah. So how do you protect your? Yeah. So someone asked here, how do you protect your stuff in soft panniers from being stolen? So each of you riding with soft panniers has to answer that now.
My Lone Rider is lockable, so no problem. I can just put a lock on it, and that's it. I don't know how's your ones.
Egle, you ride with soft too?
Yeah, I've been riding in Moscow Moto luggage for over 3 years now, I believe, and I would never want to change to anything else because, like my bike, they're that simple, but they're indestructible. I have crashed in them multiple times, no problem at all. They're waterproof. The design is actually really amazing. They've got like additional molly bags and all kinds of things you can add on to them if you need to. If there's not enough space, they have like different leaders and stuff like that. So for me, it's just about perfect because for me the simpler the better. When it comes to safety, the pannier itself, when you stick it on the rack, the lock, you can add a little padlock so the pannier, so you cannot remove the pannier off the bike. Then of course, because it's soft luggage, you can still try to open them. So what I use is these steel wire cords around them with a padlock, not a padlock, it's like an integrated lock on them. But frankly, I never actually had anybody trying to do anything funny with my luggage. I mean, normally, because it's soft luggage, it's so easy to take off. It's like 2 seconds, unclip, and they're off. So you carry them inside your tent or your hotel room or whatever. I rarely leave my bike, somewhere out in the street with all the luggage on overnight. So that's another thing. Safe parking always, right? So I don't know. It's never been an issue for me. But in terms of safety, little padlocks to secure them in place, and then a steel wire cord around them, and it's been okay so far.
Sinje, Nora, you're riding with? Sinje, you're riding with?
Aluminium. I'm actually pretty happy about them because, like, the main reason why I chose them was because I knew that I would crash probably very often, and because they're hard, the bike doesn't lean over too much.
That's a plus. Yeah, you can pick it up easily.
Right.
Unless you break them and you have to weld them. That's the problem. With the soft one, you don't have to weld anything. You're just like, yeah, it's all right.
That happened to me several times, I have to admit.
Really? Yeah, never had to weld mine, but yeah, it can happen. So if you're in the middle of nowhere and you have a really hard crash, then you're in a big trouble.
That's why I set up those rack straps, and I just put them.
Just carry them.
Yeah, really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did Asia and then Africa with the soft luggage, and I think for me the biggest advantage is they're cheap.
Depending which ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry, Lone Rider is just freaking overpriced. So
oh, come on, it's not as much overpriced as like aluminum pines, because they're sort of in the same system. Moscow Moto is overpriced as well. Hello. Okay, let's just go there.
I'm not saying anything about Moscow Moto.
It's not overpriced. Hey, quality cost, okay? Here we go. I thought we were going to have this conversation on tires more than lots of fun.
No,
but it's supposed to be a fight. Yeah.
It was supposed to be a fight. So.
Exactly.
I do think Moscow Moto has a really clever strap with the lock integrated, but I'm not 100% sure. But if you're really concerned about locking your soft luggage, then maybe that's interesting. We had Enduristan bags, which they sent to us for free. And I really enjoyed them because they were really small as well. We both had, I think, 12 liter.
I don't know how you guys packed up.
So
you guys really minimals, but they're 2 bikes, so you can go really
so
light,
that's I mean, I do have to say, we were 2 people traveling together that already saves so much space because you can share a lot of the camping gear. But because they're not straight, they are curved in a sort of an L shape. It's really nice for off-roading as well, because as long as you lean back, sometimes with the straight bags, you hit the bags with your calves, and that was not an issue at all with these bags at all. So that was really, really nice. And I also saw somebody asking, how do you protect your stuff? But I mean, he asked about stealing. So we never carried straps or locks or whatever. Yeah, you just take the bags inside. But the other thought that I had when he asked the question was maybe electronics, because everybody carries something that might be a little bit more prone to breaking. But I always put them in the top roll bag somewhere in between all my clothes. And like my computer, I literally bought it before I left on the first trip, and it's 4 years old, the MacBook Pro. It's still working.
So you had your computer on the side like bag?
No, on the top.
On the main. Oh, on the top. Yeah, on the top. That's where I carry my one as well.
And then in between, packed all the clothes and the other stuff.
Same. It's the way to go, I think, with a laptop. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even if you fall, it's a long way from that to fall.
Yeah, exactly.
But cameras, drones, and stuff like that, it's like that's why I'm still having my top box, because I'm just like, it's so easy access and it's there. You know what I mean? I open it, it's just like that, bang, I can do it. But if I have to, like, with the soft panniers, like, oh my god, I was just like strips here and there. It's just like, it's not easy access. That's why I like Love Rider, because they like panniers, but they semi-rigid, so they're safer, but they sort of like, I don't know. That's my preferences. I just like easy access, and not just like pull this, pull that.
The drones and the cameras in the tank bag. Jojo had a really big tank bag, which was really practical for us to put the stuff in. So everything was in there. And then if you go into a restaurant or something, the only thing that you take is you just quickly clip off your tank bag and then keep your eyes on the bike while you're sitting inside or you sit outside. But yeah, for riding, it was a bit shitty. So I had the small tank bag, was way nicer. It's just really, I think normal people don't need that much tank bag space, to be honest.
Yeah.
But if you are like
either, but your tank bag is mini. It's like you put your phone and what else? Like I don't know, like a Snickers bar.
Yeah, like 3 Snickers and a wallet, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I carry all my stuff in my side pannier, actually, because with the alu side panniers, that's the good thing. I've never had an issue with my electronics by crashing. So do you guys have anything on your bikes which you would consider as necessary or very good for a long journey? I would say something like crash bars is never bad, because you really can't
go without
your bike might drop, and especially from the hand guards, do you say it like that? Because if your bike falls, like your clutch and brake
your
levers
levers,
will be the first things to break.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So
all the guards are necessary. Skid plate under, the guard under the engine, that's very important as well. What else? Pretty much. Well, I run the clutch cable along the line of my clutch. I think that's very handy when you break the clutch cable. Although I'm 3 years on the road and I never did it, but it's there if I need it, and it's already sort of lined up, and you only have to just attach it here and attach it there. What else? Pretty much that's it. You put your luggage on, you put your all the guards, or the windscreen, I guess, but that's so personal as well, because it's really depending on your height, your helmet, and you cannot really. You cannot recommend this is the screen for everyone. Everyone needs to find their own sort of screen that is comfortable with, and the aerodynamics are fitting his head and his helmet and his height.
When I was in Africa now, I was like in the beginning, I thought that my Tenere has a very small windscreen compared to the one of the Tiger. But then I was like, it's getting so hot that I was like, thanks God, I don't have a windscreen that's very high, so all the air can flow through you. So I think depends as well on where you go. If you go somewhere like cold and rainy, then a bigger windscreen for sure makes sense. If you go somewhere super hot, then it might be actually not so bad to have not that huge a windscreen.
And for that reason, I've got adjustable one, so I can actually, adjust my height. This is from Wunderlich. It's not sponsored, okay? I bought this, but I really love it because it's adjustable, and it's sometimes you're on a highway, you put it up. Sometimes you off-road, whatever, you put it down. So there's other brands out there who've got adjustable ones. So I think for like long overland trips, I think it's a really good solution.
I personally love my handlebar warmers. I would not do a trip without them, because somehow, even in Africa, you end up in really cold temperatures, and you're like
rain.
Happy that you have them.
Yeah. And is it standard on Suzuki?
No.
See, it's standard on BMW.
Yeah, that's why you pay 5,000 euros or 10,000 euros more.
Oh well, it's worth it. Yeah, but I agree. The heated grips it's the best thing ever. Like I don't know how to travel without it. I went for a ride with Shelly Billy. It's like it's summer, but it was raining, and it's raining. It's like my hands are cold. Where are my heating grips? It actually dries your gloves as you go in the rain. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's the best motorcycling invention. I think every time I put it on, it's just, thank God for the heated grips, right? What about you, Sinje? Do you have heated grips on your BMW?
I do.
Yes, actually, but did you have to put it on, or they were there already?
Oh, they were there already. What I added
I think
a charging thingy for my phone, which was very useful because I do everything with the phone. I navigate with the phone. I don't have a GPS anymore, and yeah, so that was very useful. I couldn't do it without that.
Yeah,
yeah, that makes as well sense. If you're for quite a while without electricity, then you can charge some devices on the bike. I think that's very handy.
Egle, what's your add-on?
Oh, so for me, in addition to crash bars, handguards, skip plates, I have to say the seats. I really love my seat because the stock seat is so horrible, and the seat concepts one that I have right now, like it's really wide towards the back, so if you're sitting down, it's super comfortable, but it's narrow enough towards the tank so you can stand up comfortably. It's really, really great. I used to have heated grips, but not anymore because I don't know, for me it's kind of weird. You try to like get heat all over the palm and you kind of like, it was just weird for me. So instead I got a heated jacket, which is my single favorite piece of gear. Other than that, my windshield is made out of a garbage can, so I there's actually a really cool video on YouTube, DIY windshields, and you get a $5 garbage can from Walmart or something like that, and you just make one yourself. So that's kind of that. Other than that, no, I don't think anything is necessary. For me, like right now, it's more about comfort. So I think I'm gonna change out my clutch towards something else, and then the suspension upgrade was more about the performance of the bike, but I would not say it's necessary. Especially again, depending on what people want to do. What's necessary, I think Kinga is spot on that it's very, very individual. What's necessary for me might be useless for you. So you gotta kind of experiment, get out there, see what's working, what you're missing, and just kind of add things.
Sure. Exactly. Because it's really depending how you ride, right? And how much load you have.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really tough to say.
Yeah, but with suspension on 800, it's necessary. Anyone who goes with a load anywhere, it's necessary.
If you pack as much as you, yeah.
What do you mean?
You want the fight? It's Leah's idea. It's not my fault.
So Emily in the chat. Emily in the chat is asking, did you lower your seats? I think Nora, Kinga, and me, we're quite tall.
Yes, I'm 185, so that's almost 6'3".
What a show off.
Sorry.
And I didn't lower my seat. I think Kinga didn't lower her seat. Sinje, did you lower your seat?
I did, yeah.
Egle? You did?
I raised my seat.
No wonder you're on V-Strom. So, Sinje, did you lowered your seat? Really?
Yeah,
on 1200 still?
Oh.
Really? I can't hear you. Is it just me or she's cutting? Can you hear Sinje?
Here, I'm here.
Yeah, the connection is not great, but I can hear her.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Oh, it's me. Is it me?
So Sinje lowered, and Egle, you did lower your bike too? No. Yes?
No.
As a real rally driver, you can't lower
your
bike.
Egle is tall too. She's nearly my height. With the drug though, she's my height.
Met, so Egle and I never met. That's the.
I'm 175.
I don't know.
Kind of average, I guess, but no, I never lowered anything. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
So we don't have so much time left, but maybe we quickly talk about our riding gear. Is there anything specific, like what you would say is very important? For me, for example, it's my helmet, because I went through many meanwhile, and Kinga is rolling her eyes, but it's literally, I first did the RI.
No, I agree.
The one that you have, which which I liked, but I had that in the beginning. Then I had the Touratech Aventuro, which I liked too. Now I'm having the Climb Krios Pro, which is actually even lighter, and it makes such a difference. I would always look for a light helmet, because the more light it is, it's like half a water bottle that you otherwise carry on your head.
No, really,
And
Arai is very well balanced. It's carbon. It doesn't last. Okay, don't get me started on it. I don't want to get started on it, but it's light doesn't necessarily means better in performance. It just means lighter, but Arai is very well balanced. It's the only helmet that you put it on your head and you don't feel the weight. And there's no going back from it from Arai.
I drove them all. I drove the Arai for 1.5 years, and I think you really, really feel the weight difference.
Maybe. Okay. For me,
so what is like
carbon
kind of
is
like
not necessarily a priority for me. Pardon?
Yeah. And with kind of like the rest of my kind of suits, I'm a bit like, I always think you really have to adapt to where you're riding, because if it's cold, you have to have something warm and something that keeps you safe from the rain. If it's warm, you have to wear something meshy, because otherwise you want to die in places like Africa. I could not ride there in like a Gore-Tex suit or something like that. Do you girls have anything that you really, really like about your gear and that you could suggest to other people?
We've got 2 climb girls here. There you go.
They're both on the bottom, right?
Yeah. It's like the mafia.
It's that way. It feels weird, but it is that way.
Leah knew what she's doing.
I think you can as well talk about it if you like it.
No, of course we can.
I love so I was wearing the Climb Artemis jackets, which they sent me for free as well. I love it. I used it from the North Cape all the way to South Africa, and I never,
really?
Of course, yes.
Oh God, I can't imagine to be in Africa, in like West Africa, where it's so hot, to be without like something that is completely mesh.
It's hot, but as long as you keep riding, it's fine. Yeah. The only place where it would have been nice with a different type of jacket was Sudan? the Turkana route. No, because we were in Sudan before you. We were in Turkana.
Sure, it wasn't that extreme.
And it was 40 to 45 degrees. And like I said, the most extreme off-road section that we did, it was harsh. But otherwise, the ventilation design of the jacket, I really enjoy, because it's very well placed, and it's one of the few jackets I think that is actually designed by women for women. And I feel that you really that you really feel in the jacket as well. So yeah, I love the suit. And the same for the helmet. I'm also wearing the Krios helmet. Yeah, not the.
By the way, someone just wrote, I don't think we can trust these sponsored sellouts when it comes to gear advice. I bought the Krios myself because I put it on my head and I was like, that's amazing. And so it's not all sponsored. I think we all buy our gear if we're convinced of it. So Sinje as well has
didn't get all our gear all the time for free.
So Sinje is as well, you have a lot of different gear, no? In Africa, you completely changed now, no?
Yeah. So I wore Clover, and the first year from Europe to Asia and Australia. It was a Gore-Tex, very, basic adventure riding gear. It was nice for that stretch. But then after a year, I got a little bit tired of the same look that I had. I mean, you have to wear it every single day. So I was looking for, and I bought.
You're funny.
Alpine Stars, just pants. Very basic ones, denim pants, and then a bell-staff jacket that I really love. It looks horrible by now and was perfect for South America because it was cold most of the times, and it got really, really not comfortable the more north I got, because it got so warm. And then for Africa, I changed my gear again and wore a Nox Armor shirt, which is just a very tight shirt actually with protection in it. And you just wear it, it's mesh, and you just wear it as it is or with a shirt, and I love it so much. I just don't want to feel like a Mars person or like someone who's going to.
And what about the pants? What you've got for the pants?
For the pants, I wear the gear that I had in the first year, the Clover pants, because they were so so comfortable. So I just paired that up, and just the most comfortable combination for me. And I just feel comfortable because I can walk around and I don't look like I'm, coming from some other planet.
Yeah. Boots, anything that is, because I'm riding since forever, so I have no comparison with that, with the Alpinestone Toucans, which I all the time buy myself, by the way, too, and I think I'm on the 4th pair, so that kind of says that I really love them, I think. So I have never tried something else, so maybe you can suggest something else if someone wants to buy adventure boots, because I think the Alpinestars are pretty, they're good if you fall, they are still okay to walk around, I like them a lot.
For me, it's Crossfire all the way. I've been wearing them for a couple of years now, I believe, and I've crashed in them multiple times, all kinds of different scenarios, and yeah, they've saved my feet so many times. They are more like a motocross boot rather than adventure touring type of boot, so they're not waterproof, for example. So you're gonna get soaked, but for me, that's a good enough compromise. I want the safety first, and then if my feet will get wet sometimes, that's fine. So for me, City Crossfire, I think my specific model is SRS, something like that. But they're pretty indestructible, and I really love that feature. And being an indestructible motocross boot, they're also really comfortable, surprisingly, because I had Gurney SG12 before that. And in terms of safety, they were fantastic. But in terms of comfort, I feel like my feet were encased in cement. Like they were just chunky, and it was horrible to walk in and stuff like that. Whereas City is kind of both. So yeah, City all the way.
For me, Forma all the way. And you know what? I paid for my first pair of Formas. This is the boots. I went to MotoGP in Australia, and I saw this guy, and it was like, it was just really, the market was just starting, and I saw Formas, and it's like, and I'm obsessed with the boots. You know my story with the boots, right? I'm not going to mention how many pairs of boots I ever owned, but I just love the look of it, and I bought these Formas, and then Formas came on board as my sponsor, and for me, there's no going back. I love them. I just think they're sexy. I think they're just good-looking goods. They're waterproof. They're rigid. They're protective. So there's no going back for me from Forma. And for years and years and years, since 2013, in terms of my gear, I have to say this for Africa, right? I did ride with EnduroGuard BMW one, and I know the system when it unzips, and it's great. As long as you mentioned, Nora, it's as long as you're going. But the moment you stop, there was like, it's just like you have to take it out in extreme temperatures. So mesh. Now I'm in Revit, and I'm wearing mesh gear. And for hot climate, even if it's raining, thank God, I hardly ever, unless it's really, I have long distance and I know I have to go through a big, massive rain and I see the cloud, I put it on sometimes too late, the overalls. But otherwise, I just let it rain on me because it's so hot. It pulls you down, it's got the flow, and it's like literally you're going out of the rain and you dry again. So I don't know how would, like, for example, in my ex-EnduroGuard work in high temperatures. I think it would be just way, way too much. It's just like, yeah, too much. But that's me. Yeah, that's about my big gear.
Yeah.
I have to mention. Yeah, sorry, that's okay.
So I as well think I really like systems where you can kind of like this onion things, because I really think it's cool if you have a mesh jacket and can just put a Gore-Tex jacket or something like that over. For me, that makes completely sense, because even on the world trip where I was like in all kind of like climates, now in Africa I'm only riding with mesh and I'm carrying like a super small rain gear because that's enough. And even on the world trip and where I was basically in all climates, I found that I really wore like this mesh suit most of the time, and because you can as well layer under it, and I think it's much more comfortable than having like all these big Gore-Tex things on all the time. So for me, it's just more handy to have like something meshy under and then stuff that you can put over if you're getting cold or if it starts to rain.
Everyone's got their own preferences, right? And it really depending on the temperatures you're riding in, it makes a big difference. Yeah.
So girls, we chatted now for an hour. I'm not so sure if we still can cover camping gear today. Should we leave it for our next chat? What do you think?
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. I think we need to wrap up.
Because then we can now we will probably all be on the road. Can we already tell our plans, or is that still secret?
I don't know. Can we yet? Are you guys ready? I guess we can. Hey, so for all our 292 followers who are join our live channel, I think we can share with them. Hey.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We can share later.
So now that you've changed your plans, Leah, what's your plans?
My plans are I will be going to direction north from next week on tour Nordkap. And that only because Norway now opened, which was for a very long time not clear. And otherwise, I would have joined.
Okay, Sinje, what are your plans?
So I will be going to the Balkans with Kinga.
And Nora, what's your plans?
Are we talking about motorcycle plans?
No, just life plans, you know.
Life plans.
We're gonna enjoy the summer here in the Netherlands.
Awesome.
And then all of us might catch up in September when we're back.
Hopefully, yeah.
That would be great. Somewhere in possibly Munich, or am I teasing too much?
Maybe Vienna?
Now?
Maybe Vienna.
Oh, Vienna.
Maybe Prague?
Or we meet in Munich and go to Vienna. Everything is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, now we can say it. We all had the plans to meet up and go to Nordkap, but because Sweden is still closed, so we've decided with the girls we're going to go to the Balkans. So anyone who's from the Balkans, give us a shout. We'd love to meet you guys on the road. And yeah, we're just going to paddle along. I'm leaving with Sinje from Germany. We're going to catch up with Egle along the way. So we literally have no plan. We just know we're going that way. That's it.
House and see where we end up, pretty much.
Yeah,
mostly
it'll be fun.
Yeah, and Montenegro, because these are probably among the favorite places in Europe. So I'm really looking forward to ride there again.
Which ones? Bosnia and Montenegro. Yeah. Did you say? Yeah. Yes. Plus Macedonia and Albania.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
We only have 3 weeks, but hopefully we'll sort of.
and Corona. So
you know what I'm afraid of? We're just going to arrive at the first one and we're just going to stay there for 3 weeks. That's going to be no, but hopefully we'll do some riding.
Drink beer on the beach. Yeah, that sounds like you.
Oh, stop this. We're not like that at all. We do ride bikes on the beach sometimes as well, you know.
Yeah. So Alexander here is writing, ladies, let us know when you will meet up in Munich or wherever to get a chance to catch up with you for a drink. Maybe if we all meet in Munich, we're going to do a beer garden event again or something like that.
Hopefully. If not, maybe somewhere along the way. We saw this organized. It's like, what are we doing? I don't know. When are we picking up? We don't know. It's like, seriously, this is our life now. It's like, we know when we're catching up in Germany, and then we don't know what we're doing. So, let us think about it. If there will be, gatherings, we'll definitely follow our social media, and we'll have you posted.
Like,
we will
give you at least a 24 hours notice.
At least 24 hours before. Yes. So stay tuned.
So thank you everyone for being part of this. Thank you everyone for watching this, and hope to see you soon when we are back from our journeys, and then we will talk about camping gear or maybe see each other live.
Thank you so much, Leah, for hosting us.
Bye. Thanks for having.
Bye.